afternoon, folks. I am your host, Dr. Amystique Church, and we are at S.H.E Table Talks, Sisters Helping to Empower. Again, we have another dynamic segment with a very good sister friend of mine. I'm so excited that she's able to join us. I'm going to let her introduce herself, and we are going to kind of talk about what it takes from struggle to triumph, what it takes to reinvent yourself, and looking at who you are to empower others. So my very good sister friend is here, the dynamic, awesome. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Shekima Yarbray, and I am thrilled and excited to be here to have this conversation and to share bits and pieces to help the next person get through what I may have been through or what Dr. Church have been through, to let you know that it is light at the end of the tunnel. So I'm excited. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you. So when you hear the word reinvent yourself, what does that mean to you?
What it means to me as a woman, as a Black woman, period, is tapping into that part of you that have not been tapped into before. Taking what you've been through, suppressing that to help build who you want to be and who you need to be.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Do you think there are many stages in our life as we evolve as individuals and definitely as women that we have to reinvent ourselves? And then if you believe that, how has that helped define who you are now?
Absolutely, because you have to go through phases and changes in order to be where you are and to get to where you need to be. I think sometimes in life we will go through our changes and not understanding why and how and what we're going and why we're going through it. But I do believe that everything that we go through helps create who we are supposed to be and destined to be. So it is one of those teachable moments, as I always say, because you can always get some type of teachable moment from everything that you do. Any good, bad, or indifference.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned a word that I love to hear: destiny, destined to be. I'm a firm believer that we are predestined. Our life is predestined, predetermined where you're at. So a lot of times, unfortunately, we as people can look at other people's lives and say, oh, I wish I had that life, or I wish I had what they have. Well, that may not be your path, right? Because if you're a person that believes in predestiny, that's not the road that you're meant to take. Right. Doesn't mean that you're not meant to have as much as someone else, but it should always be no comparison, no competition. And hopefully one day we'll learn to get there. But we are all predestined and pre-purposed to be somewhere. But you just got to find where that's at. So with that thinking, go ahead.
I think that's a hardship that a lot of us as women faces because of the stereotypes that we see out in social media or out in the media and the naked eye, period, that your walk is your walk, your praise is your praise. And because I may not be where I'm at, doesn't mean that my praise and my walk is not ready. It's just I have to be okay with in God's timing. And everyone may not follow the religious aspect of your movement and knowing that your shoe size is solely for your foot and not for someone else's, and knowing how to be patient. But we sometimes it's just the creatures that we are, we want what we want when we want it, not realizing that sometimes what we want is not meant for us to have at that moment. And when you're going through your phases in life, it seemed like your reach is so far gone where you may not get it. You may not be in the right lane for it to be in arm's reach, but it's all about just having patience and accepting who you are at that moment and work on you at that moment to get you where you need to be.
Mm-hmm. Now, what does it take for us to get there? So when we talk about assignments and purpose and understanding the path that we need to be at, what do you think when you look at your life, you know, and the journey that you've had and where you're at now? What does it take for us to understand about assignments and embracing where you're at in that moment? Embracing where you're at it, because that's powerful to me. Embracing where you're at that moment. That's not your end, but where you're at that moment.
I think I can only speak for me, but I think what I'm going to say, some people can relate. When you're going through your trials, when you're going through that in between phases, you have to subtract yourself from everything first and foremost, and you have to have a conversation with yourself, and then you have to forgive yourself, because far too often we are going through so much and we're wearing so much baggage, and we're carrying everything. We're trying to figure out what the 5 W's and the H's are, like how do we get here, why are we here, and so forth, that we forget and we lose ourselves along the way, but we don't forgive ourselves so we can heal. And I think denial plays a big part about that, because when people see me, I'm gonna say me, when people see me, all they see is the strong part of me. They see that I'm that person that's going to come to the forefront. But what people fail to realize is that I'm human the same way everybody else is human. I may go here to the forefront in the beginning, but when the lights go out, the doors are shut, it's quiet. I am now in that baby phase of trying to figure out my life, or why am I where I'm at, and why am I in a place that I can be a service to someone else, but I can't be a service to me. And in order for you to know that, you have to be able to tell yourself, one, you're sorry, you apologize. So don't be sorry for everything you do and say sorry to everybody. But if anybody you should be sorry to and say the word sorry to, should be yourself. You say your apologies to yourself. You forgive yourself, because sometimes we as individuals, we may forget, but we're not going to forgive. You have to forgive everything that ever transpired in your life that did not go in your favor. Once you find yourself in a place that you can forgive, it puts you in a place that you can move forward, learn from it, help yourself develop and grow.
That's good. And actually that's powerful, especially when we talk about forgiveness, because a lot of times we look for others, we look to have others forgive us, or we look to ask others for forgiveness. But how many times do we look to forgive ourselves? Because you have to talk to that little girl, you know, that made those mistakes, or that teenager, that grown woman that made those mistakes, right? And actually forgive that person along the journey. Here's something I say, and I have people that totally disagree with me, and that's fine, that I have no regrets in my life. And the reason why I say that is because even every bad, dumb mistake that Amystique made, I can't regret that. Why? Because it brought me to the journey that I'm at now. Absolutely. I had to learn that, though. I had to learn that every mishap I did, you know, anything that ever came up in my life, and even through the struggles and adversities, I have no regrets for that, because now it has brought Amystique where I'm at now. Right. Because if I regret, you know, my husband and I having children before we got married, if I regret that, then what am I saying about my children, you know? So I just look at all of that as, okay, my life has no regrets. Now there's some things that you wish that you may have done, but not a regret, you know, or maybe I wish I'd done them sooner, you know?
Right, and I understand, because I was a teen parent, and as a tomboy, as a teen parent, knew nothing about raising anyone's children, anyone's kid, because I was barely raising myself. It was to a point where I'll say either I'm going to make it or I'm not going to make it. And I do not regret. Now, what I have had conversations with my son is, if I could have the same son at a different time, in a different time of my life, I would have been okay with that. But when I say sometimes blessings come when you least suspect it,
yes,
had I not had my son in that phase of the regret phase, I would not have learned how to be that type of woman where I have feelings, because I never had feelings. I never showed emotion. I never did anything of sort to make, you know, someone look at me like, oh, she do got a heart, because I was that tomboy who was that street bound in Philadelphia, you know, in the city of Philadelphia, you have to stand firm and you have to hold your grounds. But when I had my son, it put me in a place that I found myself even as a teen, even as a young adult. So having him the age I had him up until now, that was the best decision I made, because I was torn whether do I go to the doctors and have it taken care of, because I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know nothing about a baby. I'm so backwards because I'm in the street. I can't take care of him and take care of me. But sometimes you gotta stand still and listen, because those words that you hear from people that you may not see visibly, it helped me. And because I stood still, I was able to take my son, raise him, and then learn about me along the way that helped me help him. Let me say it again. I was able to take that experience that I wasn't prepared for, that I wasn't ready for, that I ain't gonna say I didn't want, but I knew financially as a high school dropout, I wasn't ready for no baby. I didn't. Boy wore a pamper backwards for like 2 years because I didn't have those soft skills and them hard skills to know how to be a parent.
Right.
But growing up with him made me the best parent I could be with him. And it helped me along the way. And I'm still learning at 48, I'm 49, and he's going 30. I'm still learning that I didn't do bad after all that I thought I was going to do. But I had to forgive myself for having him and not being able to care for him or provide for him the way most parents do provide that are either single but in committed relationships or in relationships or and have that experience. So it's a lot of that hidden trauma, but once you say you're sorry and you forgive yourself and you don't make no mistakes in anything you do, you go so far. So many baggage will be left. So many baggages off your shoulders. Yep.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Because that made me even just think and celebrate the fact is, like I said, my husband and I, we had we had a few of our children before we even got married, but we got married and we stayed married. And I look at that journey as that there are so many people that got married when we did, or even started out the way we did, they're not even together now.
Wow.
And so we can celebrate that, but a lot of times people do have that regret. But what I love about what you said, that as you were raising him, you learned about yourself. And a lot of times we're open enough that we learn who we are. So if we were to say, who are you? What would be your response? Who are you?
I'm a survivor. I'm a nurturer, but I'm a survivor because I am the epiphany of, knowing how to survive when most people couldn't. The things I've been through, the homelessness, living in my car with a child, things that I experienced, I don't think and dealt with, I don't think the majority of people could do it. They could sustain. They wouldn't know how to manage. They wouldn't know how to go through. Mentally, they were broken. Mentally, they will be destroyed. It would be like the end of the world. And for me, it was like, okay, well, now I'm here. Now what? What's the next thing? Because as soon as I decide to show a little bit of weakness or a little bit of struggle, I'm not saying we have to put our pride on the side, but it's a difference from just flat out giving up or putting your pride aside to get where you need to be to ask for that help. It was a teachable moment. It taught me so much of going through everything. That's why I say I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor.
I love that.
Survivor.
Yeah, I love that. What would be two things during your lessons and during your struggle moments? We'll get through triumph. We always want to celebrate triumph, but how about we learn how to celebrate struggle?
Yes.
So what are two? Yeah, right. Yeah. What are two lessons that you learned through your struggle point?
So I learned a valuable lesson. And again, I'm going to always reflect back to my son, Shekima, because every struggle I had, he was right beside me. And I am so ever grateful and blessed that he was the type of child that I had where if something didn't go right, he wasn't that typical kid that acted out because they couldn't get what they want or because there was no money. It was a situation when he was younger where we were living in a house and the house had to go. We had to give up the house. Not to no fault of my own, but because my name was attached to it, I ended up having to take the fall for it. And when I took the fall for it, it was hard because he was on his way from high school to college. We were on it was in that transition mode that we're on the platform. We're good now. We don't have nothing to worry about. We are at a place in our lives where we can say we got food in our refrigerator, we got a roof over our head, and we got cars to drive. And when the situation transpired with identity theft, we lost everything in 2.4 seconds. And the one thing as a college student on their way to, as a college student, as a freshman going into college, when all this transpired, it was affected him. So my issue affected him. And what I was expecting him, just had this conversation with someone yesterday. I was expecting him to show all the way out as a freshman college student that he has to come back to school now. I was expecting to get cursed out. I was expecting to be all types of everything, because the 1 minute that he was happy, that I seen that he was happy, it all was yanked from under him. What I had was yanked from under me. So I had to sit and just, he told me, if you didn't break it, why are you trying to fix it? He said, you didn't help. This situation is nothing that you did. Why are you trying to find the bits and pieces for it? He said, okay, now it happened. Now what? What do? We keep moving. And when he said that, it was just like, I had to look at him, because I wasn't expecting him to say that to me. Because he said it to me, that kind of took that half a gray cloud that I was carrying, pushed it aside, and say, all right, now what's next? Here's what's next. This is what we're going to do. I got to go here. You got to go here. And then when it's time to meet back in the middle, we'll come back in the middle. So sometimes we have to, we learn our lessons not by what we're doing, by what someone close to us is with us, is going through it with us, and they are advising. Because I never in a million years as a parent, and I've seen a lot of parents, and I've seen a lot of kids, and I've seen a lot of young adults act all the way out because of their response to things. But again, I'm going to say I am so blessed that my son had never been one of them type of kids, even growing up to be a young adult, where what affected him, he never lashed out. He never disrespected me. He never put me in a place where I had to question myself or break down because I never thought my son would talk to me that way. Never did. But what helped me was I was able just to say, you know what? He is right. Because somewhere along the line, I forgot to pray. Somewhere along the line, I just gave up on praying. And he kind of redirected me back to that and said, you didn't fix it. Why are you trying to break it? No. He said, I can't be mad at you. You didn't want who caused the situation.
Right.
So what I learned through that was sometimes you got to just stand back and let it happen. Let the chips fall. Play the cards that you're given, because you just never know whether you're going to win that hand or you're going to win that hand. And I think I won that hand, even though it wasn't the ending that I expected, but I still won the hand.
Yeah, that's great, because therefore the son taught the mother something.
Absolutely.
But if the mother if you never, as the mother, raised your son a certain way, and he never understood some struggle that, and was right there, like you said, right there with you, he would have never been able to help you learn that lesson. I love that, because that's powerful. We all want our children to grow up to be that strong. It sounds like he's very strong.
He's very, and
we want our children to grow up to be that strong and to be wise, and
to learn from it. Because I always tell my son, it's not that I want you to have children. I do. I want you to have a life, but I want you to take what we've been through in life, right? Learn from there, travel, explore, do everything you can do.
Yes.
So you have a child. Do what you need to do. And if it was up to me, get married first, co-parent, be that.
Yes.
Have children with someone who you know you're going to build with, establish with, create with, and long live with. I said, because it's a different feel when you're doing it and you're doing it alone compared to doing it with someone
else. It is.
And I told him that, and I said, take everything that we've been through, everything that you watched me go through, because every move I made, he made it with me, and learn from there. So when it's time for you to do what you need to do and you have a hardship, you already know, first and foremost, mom is going to always have a room for you under her roof, no matter how old you are, no matter what's going on. As a parent who had a son who watched me do what I need to do and he never complained, I will never tell him he can't be welcome to my home.
Right.
And I say, go and learn and live life first before you have children, and explore and do everything you want to do. And the good thing about it is that when he was younger, we had a bout where we was, sleeping in my car for about 3 months. And I had to be really creative when you have a son. I had to be so creative where every night that we slept in this car on this back street in Delaware County in Pennsylvania, I had to be creative enough where he wouldn't think nothing out the ordeal. The $5 turned into 4 meals because I learned how to survive. I learned how to be creative. I was able to go ahead and take that $5 bill and buy double cheeseburgers and make 6 burgers out of that one, out those double cheese. Like I had to be really strategic with it. And then once we were able to get where we need to be and get a solid roof, I sat and had that conversation. And because he's so, at that time, he was just like, he really, I'm not gonna say he didn't care, but he had other things to keep him occupied where it didn't even bother him that we were in the car. Because to him, we were on a camping trip.
Love it. Love it.
We were going to the park and we just want to stay out in the park and just watch the stars and talk and do everything. So again, being, you know, everyone wants a perfect and easy life, but sometimes you're not going to get that. And I always see this segment where, you know, on TikTok is a blessing and a curse all at the same time, where they'll show a man that want to get to point A and it's a straight line. And when it's a woman that want to get to point A, it's zigzagged all over the place. But what people don't realize, those zigzags getting all over the place is helping you navigate.
Yes. Yes.
It's helping you navigate.
Yes.
Because
yes.
to get where you need to be, you have to know where you've been.
Yes.
Yes. To the best. In order to get where you need, in order to go, you have to know where you've been to know where you're going. And I think I have crushed that, where I've known, I've been, I have sat, I have cried, and I'm not an emotional person, but I shed enough tears over the past years to say that part of my life is over. I'm over that hump. Now it's time to get over the next hump where I need to be for the better of me.
Oh, I love that. I love that. It reminds me of a song. And I don't know all the words, but one part that I do remember is I'll take nothing for my journey. So take nothing away from my journey. The zigzag lines, the crosses, the crossroads, all of that, you know, because it has brought me where I'm at. So that is so powerful. So, but now that you're here, and so we're going to touch on that triumph. So you have been through the journey, and not saying that you won't embrace any another path, right? Another journey, another struggle, because that's just life. And when we learn that, I know for me, I've had to learn that acceptance of that's a part of life, that you're going to go through those struggles, those whatever it is. You know, you may get to the mountain on one end, but here's a valley somewhere else. But we know that, but we embrace that. But now we're moving to the triumph. We're moving to the celebration moment. And so looking back over everything that you've been through, and now you're at this season in your life. So I have twofold things I want you to think about. What is your assignment now in this season where you're at? And how does it feel now to be in triumph, whatever stage in triumph that you're at right now? And then number 3, I want you to think about that, but I will repeat them. What would you say to that woman? Because remember, this is she, about she table talk. So sisters helping to empower. What would you say to that she that's in that struggle, that's going through the zigzag lines, reaching to the triumph? So that start first, you know, we're looking at the season and assignment you're in for yourself. And then 2, what does it feel like that you're in triumph right now? And then what do you say? And we'll end it with, what do you say to that sister? Our sisters, our women, right?
And I was thinking, I'm getting old, so you know you gotta repeat the first question again.
Yeah. So the very you're not old. Look, I got you by several years, right?
You gotta repeat the first
yeah. But so looking at where you're at now, the assignment where you're at now, think about that.
The assignment that I'm at now is making sure the people that are going through your walk that you already been through have guidance, because you never want them to walk alone. So I'm in a place now that I can share A, B, C, and D. It may be different from their vision, but it's the experience is still the same. And if I can get through it, then it's my goal to help you. And the way I can help you get through it, because you never want to leave the next person behind. You never want to leave the next woman struggling unnecessary. And I'm learning that. Why say you're a servant if you're not one to serve?
Good. That's good.
So my goal now is each one teach one. Leave no person behind.
Yeah.
Leave no person behind.
Yes.
If you don't have to be left behind, then we're not gonna leave you behind. I may not have all the answers, but I may have some experiences, and then we can formulate the answers together. But you don't need to feel as though you're by yourself, because I walked that road of loneliness, getting through things, and it wasn't because I was afraid to ask, because I just didn't have no one to ask. And then when people started to show and surface, I didn't know how to ask, because I've always been the person that does find a way, make a way, get it done. So the now me is, if 1 + 1 is 2, then let's take this 2 and create 4.
Right. Awesome. 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 Now you're in triumph now. So whatever that looks like. So what does triumph, how does it, how does it feel? Celebrate, but how does it feel? And what does that look like for you now? Because now you're in triumph.
My triumph is appreciating me, appreciating what I've been through, accepting who I am now, because I had a real issue accepting the me then. And it wasn't because I had self-doubt. I just didn't know who me was. And now that I know who me is awesome. Plain and simple. I'm gonna toot my own horn. I don't need no one to do it for me. Me is awesome. And with that celebration, I don't just celebrate myself. I celebrate everyone who poured into me, whether it was in my adult years or in my young adult years. That triumph is just not my celebration. My triumph is that it celebrates everyone who incorporate either time, energy, money, words of wisdom, prayers, anything with me, for me. I'm celebrating that as well with them, because you never want to go through things, not appreciate the people that helped you get through it. And my support circle was awesome. And I'm at this time, I want to be the same for someone else.
Awesome. Yeah.
I want to be the same for someone else.
So
when we celebrate.
Yeah, I love that. So when we're thinking about that sister that's out there and that's going to be listening to us right now, what do you want to say to her? So whether she is maybe living in a car or renting from other people, or just even in a bad relationship, but she knows that she wants to complete her education. You know, our stories are the same, being adult learners, but she wants to complete her education, or she wants to find that dream job, but she's working a job on a journey to the dream job, or whatever, wherever she is in her season in her life right now. But we know she's still on that zigzag journey. She hasn't reached the triumph yet. What would you say to her? What would you say to her?
It's doable. You can do it. You just gotta believe that you can do it, but it's doable. Because when you're going through everything, nothing seems clear. When you're going through your zigzags and you want to be here, but you're here, and you need to get this money, but you're only making this money. You want education, but you're lacking the GED or the high school. Everything is doable. I'm a whole high school dropout, proud high school dropout. And I had someone tell me, oh, you'll never do anything. You'll never go anywhere. You'll be dead before you're 19, or you'll be in jail, locked up forever, because of the type of life I was living out in the streets. Yeah, I hear that. But this high school dropout not only earned the degrees that she has, but I did it not to prove anyone wrong, but I did it because it was said that could be done. So for me to tell that next, it's doable, but you got to believe in yourself that it's doable. If you don't believe in yourself that it's doable, then you're going to fall short to what everybody thinks that's best for you. Pat your tears. Pat your tears away. Once you dry your face from patting your tears away, then get on your game plan. Go through those zigzags, because those zigzags is going to teach you so much than what that straight line will ever teach you.
Yes. Yeah.
I love it. Zigzag any day. A zigzag will teach you so much about yourself that you didn't even think you knew about yourself. A zigzag line will get you where you need to be quicker than a straight line ever will. You're coming out with smarts than you would if you did a straight line. You're coming out more knowledgeable, more credible, because everything that you're going to learn around going through those zigzags. You're going to meet people. So for her that is listening, that you feel as though you can't, you can. Trust me when I tell you you can. But you have to believe that you can.
I love it. I love it. I tell people that I end up mentoring or just get connected to, that plan your work, work your plan. That's something that I live by. Plan your, you got to plan your work, and you have to work that plan, whatever it is. Because if you don't work it, the planning means nothing. You can continue to do whatever, but as you're going through it. So even like you said, going through those zigzags, have a plan, but stick to it, because the triumph is at the end. So for all of our She listeners, I'm so excited again to have my sister friend, someone that I truly look up to. I would even call her coach, right? Coach Kima. But Dr. Yarbray, I celebrate you. I celebrate with you. Just very excited for where you're at, where you're going. And that's the thing, that you continuously go and grow, and you are someone that I want to say to all the She's that, remember her name, because you're going to hear it over and over and over again. Is there something that you want to share with our She's out there that you are working on, or you're doing, that you want them to look out for?
Yes, by the way, yes, 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 yes. So, in one of my many zigzags, I lived in a shelter, and it wasn't easy, especially living in a shelter where you don't, fit into those particular brackets, whether it was mental health, drug and alcohol, domestic violence, health, HIV, AIDS wise. When you don't fit into any of those programs or any of those categories, you are less of a value to the place that you're staying in. And I always wanted, when I was in there, I met a lot of people, and everyone's story was different. Everyone's reasoning to be in there was different. And I met this one woman that was in there, and I can't remember her name, but I'll never forget the story. She was she was a doctor, and she fell on hard times, not because of something she did, just because, again, when you put yourself out there to be a servant for other people and you don't know your boundaries, sometimes those boundaries get crossed and you end up feeling the blunt of what's going on. And she was in there, and the services that she needed at that time, before I really got heart into the shelter world, the services that she needed, she couldn't get because it wasn't no revenue coming in for her, so that she can get the service that she needed, because she didn't fit into those categories. And then as time went on, I wasn't understanding what she was saying and what she meant by that. And so I was needing services. I was like, well, since I'm in here, let me utilize what I can. And I kind of got the back burner of things. I kind of got the push to the back because I wasn't a money sign for this organization that was housing the sheltered women. And in there, I got a chance to meet a lot of people again, a lot of people, careered, non-careered. Everyone had different stories as to why they were living in here. And what I found, what I learned in there and came out and really had to sit and contemplate on and just think about, like, the way our world is and the way we're living and how people are living, where our economics is not, economy and economics is not where it needs to be, that, we judge people by what we see and not what we know. And if I was to walk into a shelter, in my head, because what we see on TV, people that live in shelters are either drug addicts, alcoholics, or whatever that got going on. But you won't know until you actually have to be put in that position and have that type of conversation. And I took that away because, again, everyone in the shelter doesn't fit anything. You would not, looking at me now, you would not know that I lived in a shelter, because I am functional. I can do everything pretty much that I knew I could do. So when I left out of there, I said, I really want to make a documentary, and kind of not expose, but to just bring to light the homeless population. And what do that consist of? What do that look like for people that are everyday workers? Like everybody that goes to work every day, that don't have a permanent place to live, or that have fell by wayside because of maybe not making enough. And the topic of my documentary is homeless to homelessness.
Oh,
And
I love that.
that will give a synopsis and just an overview that people, you can have a job and have a career and work and still be homeless.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it just so many different parts to it. So that's my project that I'm working on now. And to eventually within the next 10 years or so, I would really love to open up a Dove's Love. And that's
Oh, wow.
for transitional people going through changes from school to parenting to get that extra support that, they can't get on their end, but knowing if they come through this system, they will get that type of love and support they need to be sustained as parents or education and do what they need to do. So I'm working on one big project and a second big project, but I'm trying not to put them together so they don't take away from each other. But I'm definitely one to use those type of backgrounds because it's important.
Yeah, that is so great. And I was just telling someone the other day, I said, sometimes we try to work on 3 and 4 and 5 things at one time. No, you got to learn how to pace yourself, maybe take on, one big thing and then maybe 1 or 2 little things, or maybe even just one, because you have to pace yourself. Because when you do get overwhelmed and you kind of lose what you're supposed to be working on. But I understand about being homeless. I've been homeless before and I had children, and that's horrifying. And I had a job. I actually had a job. I had a state job. I was working for a state agency. And it was a small state agency, but I was working for the agency. And I think I had been there probably about 3 months. And I started off casual seasonal, and then they end up hiring me full time. So I had benefits, I had a decent pay, but I lost the place where I was staying at because, I went through a traumatic situation and I just couldn't afford it, and so I understand that. So I look forward to your documentary, look forward to, sowing seed into what you're working on. So I'm excited about that. So as we wrap up our S.H.E Table Talk, I want to thank you again. Thank you so much. If people that are out there listening, if they want to contact you about speaking engagement, what is a good email address that they can reach out to you to get you on their platform, at their conference, or how do they contact Dr. Yarbray?
Oh, they can contact me by my email. It's my first and last name, Shekima Yarbray @gmail.com. Or they can call directly. I will say email because I'll get the email quicker than I will pick up the phone. Not in a bad way, but the emails are quicker. It's easier for me to get to opposed to answering a call if I'm in the middle of a meeting. So they can email me at shekimayarbray@gmail.com.
Okay. Again, thank you for your time. I greatly appreciate it. So for our ladies out there that are listening, or even some of our guys, because sometimes I get surprised when I get an email from a guy, oh, I heard this and I want to share it with, my sister or, a cousin or something like that. So just thank you so much for listening to S.H.E Table Talk. Again, it's about sisters helping to empower others. And we are here for you. You are not on that path alone. Whatever that journey looks like for you, we are here to help you to engage, enrich, encourage, empower, every step of the way and I believe it's about sustainability for long life and for a very positive journey. So again, Dr. Yarbray, thank you. And for my S.H.E listeners, thank you. Until the next segment.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. I enjoyed this. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Good. All right. And everyone, enjoy your day in purpose and go and be empowered.
Yes. Have a good one, everyone.
Love you, lady. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.